Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Dubois coming to you from Boone's Critter Corner. Today I wanted to share with you a book called The Two Great Bread Bake Book. This was written and illustrated by Gail Gibbons. I've had this book ever since I was a little girl, so I'm really excited to share it with you. It's about, as you'll see, baking bread, and that's something that Boone and I have been doing a lot of over this extended break. I've heard many of you have been doing the same thing, so I'm interested to hear your stories when we're all back at school. The Two Great Bread Bake Book. Missy Tilly was a wonderful bread baker. Everyone in the valley loved eating her golden brown loaves of bread. Mr. Simon of Simon's General Store sold as much of Missy Tilly's bread as she could bake. When the store ran out of loaves, Mr. Simon would send a message to Missy Tilly's house. The message always read, "We need more Missy Tilly bread, please. Thank you." And Mr. Simon would sign his name. Missy Tilly would busy herself baking more of her wonderful warm loaves of bread. When they were done, she would carefully pack them and deliver them to Mr. Simon. One morning, Missy Tilly received a familiar note. "Oh my," she said, "it's time to bake more loaves for Mr. Simon's store. I need to get all of my goodies down from the shelf," she said to herself. "Let's see now. I need my whole wheat flour, some brown sugar, and my yeasty beasties." Then she said, "I also need milk and some shortening and a lot of salt. First, I'll add some yeasty beasties to my flour." "Oh my, yeasty beasties! They are really called yeast," Missy Tilly said to Mo Duck, who had waddled into the kitchen. "Yeast is a small living plant. Without my yeasty beasties, my bread would be flat and tough to chew," she said, as she mixed the flour and yeast together. "Yeasty beasties grow and give off little bubbles of gas in the bread dough to make it rise and become puffy." Missy Tilly heated the milk, brown sugar, shortening, and salt in a saucepan. She added these ingredients to the flour and the yeasty beasties, mixing them together. Then she added more flour and worked the whole mixture until it made a nice, soft pile of dough. "Now I shall knead my dough," Missy Tilly added. She put the dough down on a board and folded the dough over on top of itself. She did that for a long time until the dough was bouncy and smooth. Next, Missy Tilly put the dough into a large greased bowl and covered it with a damp towel. She set the bowl in a warm place where the dough would rise. "Now, yeasty beasties, make my bread nice and puffy, and I shall bake you," she said as she gave the dough a pat. "Oh dear, I'm so tired," Missy Tilly yawned and stretched. "While my yeasty beasties are growing, I think I shall take a short nap." She fluffed up a small pillow and put it under her little head and was soon off to sleep. What nice dreams Missy Tilly had. She dreamed of candy-covered flowers and clouds made of whipped cream, and then, in the middle of a dream about chocolate boats drifting in a sea of root beer, she thought she heard a rumble. It was a loud rumble. "Oh my goodness," Missy Tilly said. For there, on the windowsill, in the bowl, the yeasty beasties had begun to raise the dough, but the dough was puffing up much higher than it had ever done before. The towel on the dough began to look very small. The dough plopped over the edge of the bowl and began to puff out across the room toward poor Missy Tilly. "Oh my," she cried, "what's happening to my dough?" She tried poking it back into the bowl, but the yeasty beasties kept making the dough bigger and bigger. "You yeasty beasties, stop this nonsense," screamed Missy Tilly as she hit the dough with her broom. "You're not supposed to act like this," she wailed. But the dough continued to rumble. The dough pushed everything around the little kitchen. "Stop it," Missy Tilly yelled. "Stop it this minute." But the dough would not listen. Soon it filled the entire room and kept growing. It pushed Missy Tilly right out of her own little house. "You yeasty beasties, stop," she hollered as she stabbed the dough with the end of her broom. "Maybe I can stuff you back inside." Nothing helped. The dough oozed out of the windows and the door. It chased poor Missy Tilly down the walk. She lost her broom in the dough. "You give that back! My broom!" she cried. Still, the dough did not listen. "Oh my," she wailed, pounding her fists against the dough. "What must I do to stop you?" The dough pushed its way through the valley. All of Missy Tilly's friends and neighbors ran from their homes, but brave Missy Tilly continued to yell at the mountain of dough. "Stop it! Stop, you yeasty beasties! Stop it!" She continued to pound on the dough with her little fists. "Please, stop it," she pleaded. "Oh my!" And there was Missy Tilly pounding her little fists on the pillow she had put under her head for her nap. She turned to the windowsill. There sat the bowl of dough, puffy and high, exactly as it should be. "I must have been dreaming," Missy Tilly said. "Thank goodness it was only a dream." She went over to the dough and gave it a little pat. "Thank heavens, my dough is all right, and I'm all right too," she said with a sigh. "But I'll never forget my yeasty beastie dream." Missy Tilly glanced at the clock. "Goodness, I'm late. I must get my bread baked for Mr. Simon," she said. She punched down the bread and let it rise a bit more. She divided the dough and put it into loaf pans. Then she put the pans in the oven and baked her Missy Tilly bread until it was golden brown. Missy Tilly packed the loaves of her famous Missy Tilly bread and carried them over to Mr. Simon's general store. "Thank you," Mr. Simon said. "And how are you today, Missy Tilly?" "Oh, fine, but I almost had too great a bread bake," she answered with a wink. Mr. Simon didn't know what Missy Tilly meant by that, and he still doesn't to this day. Thanks, boys and girls. It was nice to see you all, and Boone and I sure hope to see you soon. Bye.
Can I say something? Yes. Thank you for coming, and I hope you'll come again. And we all love that you watched this story. And remember, my name is Boone.
Bye.
And Boone's